Grow Cook Eat is proudly sponsored by Board Bia and StopFoodWaste.ie.
We're back in Grow HQ here in Waterford for another year of growing, cooking and eating.
This year, the 7 veg we're growing are
Onions, pumpkins, sweet corn, courgettes, kale, French beans and spicy chilies, making each vegetable the star of the show.
We'll be teaching you how to grow like a pro.
Look at these beauties.
As well as travelling far and wide to find the best food stories from around the country. Is everybody hungry?
Then it's into the kitchen for our favourite part, the taste test.
Yum.
So what are we waiting for?
Let's get growing.
This week on Grow Cook Eat, we're tackling a colourful monster of the veg world. But enough about Karen. This week it's all about pumpkins.
Oh, I am so going to get you for that. Yes, it is all about pumpkins, a veg that is synonymous with Halloween and carving, but actually it's way, way more than that.
It's an incredibly versatile veg to cook with, really, really tasty, stores brilliantly, and it's very, very easy to grow.
So when it comes to pumpkins, it's not just buy, carve and dump. It really is all about grow, cook and eat.
Oh, nice.
This week is all about pumpkins. We're going to take 3 varieties all the way from seed to harvest.
Karen will be checking into Kelly's Hotel to find out more about food waste in the hospitality industry.
And Mick will be talking to a specialist food producer about hyper-seasonal veg.
Then it's into the Grow Cook Eat kitchen where chef Katie Sanderson is going to prove that pumpkins aren't just for Halloween. Ooh.
It's mid-May and time to get the seeds going in the potting shed.
Pumpkins varieties are everything, right? Because some of the varieties are brilliant for carving, some of them are brilliant for eating, and you need to know which one you're sowing, right? So we've got 3 different ones.
Okay.
And we start with this one over here. This is a kind of a bit of a novelty, right? And as the name would suggest, Big Macs, like you couldn't make this stuff up really, could you?
I'm sure I met a bouncer in Dublin a few years ago called Big Macs. Okay.
So he is living on in this pumpkin variety.
Pumpkin.
So this is a ginormous novelty pumpkin, right? So only do this if you've got enough space in your garden.
Hang on, when you say enough space, are you talking
this
twice
like
the size of this table?
The size of a small car. It's like a 50-kilo pumpkin, right? So you're going to be sowing it about 2 centimetres deep.
Yeah.
And then put it on its edge, so that means if you plant them flat, the water will kind of sit on them and they can rot. So the second variety we've got, this is called, I can't pronounce this because it's French and we should ask JB. But I think it's Rouge Vive de Tempe.
Oh yeah, bien sûr.
And this is an amazing eating pumpkin, right? It's a big pumpkin, it's about 7 to 10 kilos in size. So same process again, just get your seed, stick it down into the soil about 2 centimetres and then get your label in straight away because you're not going to know the difference. And then this final one is we're going to do in these little things.
These are core pots. They're made out of coconut husks. And you can plant from here straight into the ground and they'll just...
These will degrade,
degrade down.
After, it takes about 2-3 months for them to degrade, but they just disappear. And they actually improve the soil as well. So this last one we're doing is a variety called Pot of Gold. So these are only about 3 kilos in size. So that's it. Get them in there. They're very cold sensitive, so you need to keep them inside until at least June. The last thing, obviously, to do is to give them water. So we need to keep the compost moist all the time. Don't let them dry out.
Okay.
And then keep them somewhere warm and sunny for the next month, and then they'll be ready to plant out. A month later, and our plants are ready to leave the greenhouse and go out into the garden. So it doesn't look like we've got a huge amount of space for these in this bed, does it, in fairness?
No.
So we're going to have space for 2 of these.
Right.
We've 3 varieties, if you remember. This beautiful one is called Rouge Vive de Tempe.
And then I have a little pot of gold.
And then
Big Macs.
Big Macs. So we're not.
That's not going to fit here.
We're not going to plant that here because it would take over half the garden. So we're going to give that to Richard to plant. So the thing about pumpkins is that incredibly hungry.
Yeah.
So again, to produce that much food, you're talking serious amount of energy. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to get all the nutrition into the planting hole.
Okay, so down from at root level.
We're going to dig a pretty big hole to start with, right? And we're going to get 2 handfuls of poultry manure pellets and then a handful of the seaweed dust, right? So that's going to give it lots of the nutrients it needs for fruiting. So we give it a good mix around, and then we can get the Rouge Vive de Tempe there.
highlight the importance of labelling your plants, doesn't it?
It does.
And all the different
because
varieties.
they look identical. So do you
Yeah.
want to finish that one off
Yeah.
there and I'll get this done? All right, so that's that done. So you're going to get that into the container.
I am.
I'm going to give this to you to give to Richard.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a bit of watering
Okay.
here, yeah,
Cool.
just to water them in.
Right.
Richard, our head grower, is planting the Big Macs in the same way, but in a much larger plot out the back of Grow HQ.
We'll check back in a few months to see if Big Max lives up to his name. But from Max Row to Micro, it's time to head over to Container Corner.
I'm going to do exactly in the container what we did over at the raised bed, which is give this pumpkin plant a load of lovely soil. Now, normally we wouldn't add any more feed to the potting compost, but remember Mick was saying earlier, they're really, really hungry. So not quite as much in the raised beds, maybe one handful of each, maybe a little bit more, just because I can. Mix it all up. Now, so we squidge it in, stick in the thing. It's basically as simple as that.
So most vegetables that we like to eat have a relatively long season. We can eat a lot of them all year round. But there's a couple of vegetables that all seem to be consumed at particular times of the year because of tradition or whatever. So pumpkins are a great example, and Brussel sprouts are the best example of all. So that's why I'm here in North County Dublin, standing in a truly massive field of Brussel sprouts. And we're here to talk to the grower that grows all of these sprouts about the challenges and the vulnerabilities of what we call hyper-seasonality.
When I started as a young man, we grew about 10 different vegetables. We grew carrots, parsnips, tomatoes, cabbage, cauliflowers, some cereals. When we started dealing with the supermarkets about 20 years ago, the demand they wanted, you couldn't possibly grow 5 or 6 different vegetables at the time. So we kind of specialised in 1 or 2 things with them. Brussels sprouts was one of them, and we stayed with that and we grew on that. We start from the end of January. Your first sowings will from seed of plants will be sown in the glass houses. We propagate them right up to a small plant, and they're transplanted out in the spring. You're taking care of that all summer to get them up to harvest. That's usually in August and September.
What's the difference between your output here, say, in September and in the last couple of weeks before Christmas, say? Is it?
Since September, we're probably selling about 35, 40 tonnes a week.
Yeah.
Come Christmas, over the 2-3 weeks over Christmas period, we'll probably be 500 tonnes.
Wow. Martin, the sprouts come in from the field where we saw them all grown. They were looking amazing out there. So tell us what happens once you get them inside the door here then.
Basically, they come in bulk in a trailer. These guys here will take out any bad ones and watch for any bits that shouldn't be there. They're brought out here, the labels are put on the machines. They're netted here. They're going onto the tables here and packed.
They're literally coming in from the fields, go through here, could be on the shelves within hours.
Within hours, yes.
People associate sprouts. It's one of those that classic Christmas vegetable. Is that it effectively for you guys? Is it all about the Christmas market, or is there more to it than that?
Some people, when they eat them at Christmas, they keep eating them after Christmas.
Okay.
And that's the type of product it is, you know.
And if they're available from August to March, say, we should be eating them all.
Yes,
all,
well, it is
a
a very healthy product. It's high in fibre, it's low in fat. It's known to fight cancer.
Yeah.
So it's
no downsides.
There's no downsides to it.
Yeah.
It's a superfood.
It's a really, really tough job to grow any vegetables commercially, and you know, these guys are up against really, really high costs, very low margins, and sometimes we don't place a huge amount of value on what they produce. For growers of hyper-seasonal veg like Brussels sprouts, guys like Martin, it's an even tougher job. So they're producing an incredibly healthy product that's local and seasonal and Irish, all the good stuff. So we need to get the message out there when it comes to veg. We need to buy Irish, and don't forget Brussels sprouts aren't just for Christmas.
Cook Eat is proudly sponsored by StopFoodWaste.ie and Bord Bia. Grow Cook Eat is proudly sponsored by Bord Bia and StopFoodWaste.ie.
Time flies when you're growing pumpkins. It's already the start of July, and I want to check in to see how they're getting on.
There are signs of not all is well in the state of Denmark underneath it all.
I can't remember that Hamlet from Circle.
Yeah. So, do you see these? Right, so a pumpkin plant has got male and female flowers on it, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah. The female plant is where the fruit comes, and this so far only has male flowers on it.
Oh, what?
And the way you know that is that, without getting too rude about it, it's got a long dangly bit here instead of a nice round fruit forming behind the flower. All is not lost, however, because we think it will actually start to produce it. So we just need to trust that it's going to work eventually.
So you want me to trust something that has just men on it to do what it's meant to do?
Yeah. And the reason it's doing that is because the plant was under stress when it came out of the pot.
Okay.
So the big thing is at this stage with these plants is watering, right? They need about 20 litres of water per plant per week. And kind of the general rule of thumb is get lots of water onto the plant at one time. Rather than kind of watering every day, you're better to give it a good drenching maybe twice a week.
Okay. Now, the other thing we do need to do, though, is to make the best use of this space.
Yeah.
We want them to go in a particular direction, don't we? That one's heading off.
Yeah, well, just broadly speaking, we want them to go in opposite directions. So this one is heading in that direction, which is grand. So it's going to snake around through the bean plants there. This one we want to encourage to go that way.
Okay.
So we'll try
And would you kind of peg it a little bit?
You absolutely could peg it, yeah.
Did you bring a peg?
No.
Mick forgot his tools, so it's back to basics. The old stone on a stem trick. Now, let's check on my beauties in Container Corner. Ta-da!
They are amazing.
And look, we have a female fruit.
Amazing.
Yay!
So there's some of the male ones back here, and then as it grows, and this is obviously a very happy plant indeed because it's producing the female ones now, which is what you need.
I'm delighted. I do have one question for you though.
Yeah.
Those ones over there have something to trail out across.
Yeah.
Is it okay for these ones to just kind of come down, or do we need to offer support?
I think I wouldn't have it up on a height like this. I'd have it down on the ground and let it trail on the ground. It'll trail quite happily.
Delighted.
Fair play.
1 month later, and our pumpkins have burst onto the scene. Check out these bad boys. Now, why am I holding these bricks?
Basically, with pumpkins, right, so when they're sitting on wet soil for a long period of time, it tends to get all soft and mushy. So what you do is you lift up the pumpkin really carefully, because if it falls off the plant at this stage, we're done. The other thing we want to do is we want to take some of the foliage away from around it, which just lets the sort of sun get in at it. But these are doing really, really well. Need another probably month or 6 weeks.
Before we harvest?
Yeah.
Are they going to get twice the size?
They should get a good bit bigger, and they're going to get kind of redder, obviously, as the more sun gets at them. But they're doing really, really well. We don't need to feed them, anything like that at this stage. We leave them to enjoy the sun while Karen checks in for something entirely different.
It's really nice to treat ourselves, but that doesn't mean we have to do it at the cost of the environment. So I'm here at the luxurious Kelly's Hotel in Rosslare to find out how they still manage to look after their guests and look after the planet.
When we started out, we were at about 160 tonnes of food waste a year, and we're now down to about 120 tonnes of food waste a year. Everything changed around 2005 when all after the foot and mouth disease, there was a lot of regulation came in within Ireland and within the EU about the whole control of food waste, and it actually highlighted a lot of other issues. How come we had so much food waste within the hotel, and what things can we do to actually reduce the amount of food waste we have within the hotel? We're serving up between 700 and 1,000 meals a day, so we've such a fast turnover that you don't want to be storing food items for too long.
Every day I will walk through the fridges and see what's there, what's ready to use and to be used first. So it's a matter of adjusting. Maybe I might have sauté potatoes planned today, but if there's a lot of fried onions or peeled onions, we might do potato and onion together. The team are great regarding what to prepare and all that, but we realise there's a cost factor in disposing of waste, so we try to keep it to a minimum.
It's something that we do on an ongoing basis. We take a look in the brown bin and see what's coming back, and we also use outside consultants to come in and look at what we're doing, and they do a live costing of every food item going out. We made our first sort of big investment in a Neither 10 composter to get rid of any food waste, or to compost any food waste that we had within the hotel. What we put into the composter, we extract the water from it. It takes a period of about 6 weeks, but for 100% that we put through, 10% comes out the far end. We're planning next year to have our own vegetable, herb gardens and things like that, so that will be a huge plus.
I met Bob, the groundskeeper, who wanted to show me how they use the compost and, of course, put me to work.
So clearly there is no such thing as a free lunch, but you know what? Happiest with a shovel in my hand.
I'm so impressed with how Kelly's have stepped up to the mark and come up with some innovative but really simple ways to tackle food waste. I think you'd be surprised how an approach just like this can have an impact in our own homes. Check out growcookie.ie for loads of tips on the really simple changes we can all make to reduce the amount of food we waste. It'll make a massive difference to the environment, and if that wasn't reward enough, we'll save money too.
So Kelly's must be a leader in terms of sustainability and food waste within the hospitality sector.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, we do our best with what we have. We strive to be the best in that area, but we've a long way to go still.
Well, I don't know, I think you've made some pretty good changes, which I have just found out if I make those same changes, I stand to save about 700 quid from my own household budget. And do you know what I'm going to do with it?
You tell me.
I'm going to come here and stay for 2 nights full dinner, bed and
Well,
breakfast.
thank you very much.
Well rested after Kelly's, Karen's back at Grow HQ and she's having a special moment.
Okay, so don't actually tell Mick, but I didn't think that I was going to be able to grow pumpkins in containers. It didn't make sense to me that something that big was going to grow in something this small. But look, we totally have. Now, I know the leaves themselves look like something out of a Halloween horror movie. That's because there isn't half as much nutrients or soil in the containers to sustain this growth like they do in the raised beds. But it doesn't matter, because the end result is 2 beautiful pumpkins. So we still have to snip them off just like so. So there we are. I am so glad that I even proved myself wrong, and I am definitely going to give these another go again next year.
Fair play, Karen. You might want to look away though, as Richard's Big Macs may be the star of this show. In just 3 months, we've got a 30-kilo pumpkin. They grow up so fast.
So fast. But here, what about the main crop? Mick, it's your turn to shine.
Look at these beauties. What a vibrant colour.
Brilliant, aren't
They're
they?
amazing. And they make it all look and feel very autumnal.
This plant has 2 pumpkins on it. This one, and that one over there has 1. So this is like,
Thanks,
this
Mick.
is your one,
I got that.
and these are my 2.
No.
So you go get that one,
Okay.
and I'll harvest this one, and then we're nearly done.
Now, it's a beauty.
Look at that, isn't that?
Yeah.
Like just, that is
It
an
feels
amazing
like kind of a
piece
circle
food.
of life moment, like you need to hold up your pumpkin. But I'm not going to try and sing Elton John. No, neither are you.
No, neither am I. We couldn't be more proud of our pumpkins. Now all that's left to do is clear the beds and get into the kitchen.
Katie Sanderson is ready to make a gorgeous roast pumpkin salad with a peanut rayu and creme fraiche.
So first thing we're going to do is peel the pumpkin. I'm going to get my compost ready. Something that's really nice about this dish is that you can make it ahead of time and then have it ready for later. So like if you have loads of friends coming over for a barbecue, you can roast your pumpkin in the morning and then your sauces are all ready and you just do it last minute. I'm going to put that all in the compost. And then we're going to cut the pumpkin. You kind of need to put your back into it. And then we're going to cut it in quarters. Then I'm going to get a spoon and we're going to take the seeds out. So you can put the seeds in the compost, but I'm going to put them aside and I'm going to show you something we can do with them later. So we're just going to scoop them all out, making sure that we don't take any of the pumpkin with it. So I'm going to cut the pumpkin into wedges next. They can kind of be a little bit of irregular shapes because if you kind of get nice little pointy bits, those bits will get browner quicker and that will add a nice texture to the whole thing. With a pumpkin this size, you'll probably be able to serve about 4 people as a main course, or you could have it as a side salad for a barbecue or something. For this dish, we've got a really chilli sauce going with it, the peanut rayu, and so we don't want to add too much spice to the pumpkin. So we're just going to season with salt and pepper and olive oil. And I'll give them a little jig around. I've got 2 roasting trays here, so we're just going to make sure that everything has loads of space. Our oven's been preheated to about 220 degrees and they'll cook probably for about half an hour. I'll check them in that amount of time. Now, our pumpkin seeds. I'm just going to show you a really quick way of roasting them and adding a little bit of flavour, and you can eat them later for some snacks. Take the seeds out of the pumpkin membrane. We're going to put all of these in here. Today we're just going to use some paprika. We'll put some whole fennel seed on and some salt and pepper. And I'll just give them a little stir in the roasting tin so that the spices and everything get on all of them. So they're going in at 200 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes or until they're nice and crunchy. So that's exactly what I was looking for, kind of nice, crunchy black bits on the side, some brown bits, but also nice and soft as well. I kind of like them to be kind of irregular, not in any kind of an order. So we've got our pumpkin on the plate, and we're just going to do dollops of creme fraiche and dollops of the peanut rayu. So peanut rayu is kind of an Asian-inspired condiment. It's going to add a really nice chili kick to the whole thing. And then we're going to put our greens on the top. So we've got our spring onion that we've chopped. And then we're just going to pick the coriander. Instead of kind of chopping it up like that, we want to keep the nice big leaves. So great, those pumpkin seeds have been in for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and we're just going to put them in a bowl for some snacking for later. Really nice kind of family dish that you can put in the middle of the table and everyone can share.
Did I hear the word snacks?
Yeah.
I know. I'm a fiend for food. What can I say? Okay,
What have we done here?
So these are the lovely pumpkins you grew with some creme fraiche and peanut rayu.
Ah,
Peanut rayu.
now,
Yeah.
I knew I recognised the peanut rayu. Okay.
It looks a wee bit like sweet potato, and you know the way we've
Oh my
been
God.
ranting about this before, but I'm going to have another little rant and say, why would we bother with sweet potato when we can eat something as beautiful and vibrant colour and deliciousness as that? It's just as good, isn't it? If not
Yeah,
better.
and more locally grown, more easily
Yeah.
accessible to Ireland and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
So what about the growing?
Well, I thought the growing was great. I had never grown pumpkins before. Had assumed you needed loads and loads of space. So yes, of course, they looked amazing in the beds, but even in my little containers, over in Container Corner, they looked great, and to see them coming on over the weeks and months. Another one to absolutely try out, all shapes and sizes, and
Undoubted.
not just for carving. No, it's
No.
not.
Abandon sweet potatoes and take up pumpkins.
Okay.
And this is
Absolutely delicious. Go on, have some more.
While we tuck in, why not log on to growcookie.ie for all the info you need to get primed for pumpkins in the garden or even a container.
See you next week back in Grow HQ when we'll be tackling sweet corn, one of the most challenging veg to grow.
Grow Cook Eat is proudly sponsored by StopFoodWaste.ie and Bord Bia.